Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. There was an unprecedented scenario which played out in Parliament today. It was a protest versus a counter protest in Parliament. As you all know, the opposition has been seeking answers from the government on what happened at Jantar Mantar on 20th July, the police crackdown, how the pellet guns were fired. And then you had a parallel protest which was playing out in Jharkhand. And this counter protest was training all the guns on Rahul Gandhi, that how the goalpost has changed. Why don't you speak on what has happened in Jharkhand? So, what happened today? I'm going to play out some visuals for you. Now, the BJP led NDA and opposition MPs, they staged a high tension counter protest outside Parliament's Makar Dwar. If we can play those visuals so that we have a fair idea of what happened today. Now, these are the pictures which played out outside Makar Dwar. You can see the NDA MPs holding a placard, and very interestingly, the NDA lawmakers carried placards demanding Rahul Gandhi answer questions and accusing the opposition of running away from a discussion while opposition leaders held the opposing slogans. Now, what were the key slogans? Now, the NDA members, what were they chanting? They were chanting, Rahul Gandhi jawab do, गृह मंत्री की चर्चा से राहुल गांधी भागो मत, which means that the NDA members are saying that why is Rahul Gandhi running away when Amit Shah is ready to face the House and when he's ready to discuss? While the opposition figures countered with their own slogans, because the opposition has been insisting that there should be a discussion not only on the student barbarities but also on the Ram Mandir theft issue. And yesterday, Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge had very clearly clarified that for them, both issues are important, and which is why this logjam in Parliament. Now, what are the core issues? Now, the confrontations, the protest and the counter protest, they've centered over recent student recruitment protest crackdowns and remarks attributed to Amit Shah, with both sides accusing each other of obstructing the parliamentary debates. And the House again was adjourned. And what happened exactly at 11 a.m. when the House reconvened? You can see the pictures playing out on the screen. You can see the Samajwadi Party MPs calling the Modi government a Chanda Chor government. They are seeking answers on what has happened as far as the police crackdown is concerned. They want answers on what has happened on the Ram Temple theft issue. But parallelly, the NDA government now wants answers on what has happened in Jharkhand. So this the protest versus counter protest in Parliament. I'd like to play out what Om Birla said and what happened exactly in the morning. Let's have that bite play out of Speaker Om Birla. Bharani, if you're there backstage, can we?
मैंने व्यक्तिगत रूप से कई बार आग्रह किया कि प्रश्नकाल सबसे महत्वपूर्ण समय होता है। प्रश्नकाल के अंदर सरकार की जवाबदेही तय होती है, कार्यपालिका में पारदर्शिता भी आती है। और कई माननीय सदस्य मुझे व्यक्तिगत रूप से मिले और उन्होंने आग्रह किया। मैंने पहले भी व्यवस्था दे रखी है, चाहे सत्ता पक्ष हो चाहे प्रतिपक्ष हो, प्रश्नकाल के अंदर केवल प्रश्नकाल ही होगा और इसीलिए प्रश्नकाल चलने में सहयोग करें। कई बार इस विषय पे मैंने व्यक्तिगत रूप से सदन के अंदर आग्रह किया और देश की जनता भी चाहती है सदन चले। कल बीएससी की मीटिंग के अंदर भी सभी दलों से मैंने आग्रह किया था सदन चले, सदन में चर्चा हो, प्रश्नकाल हो और महत्वपूर्ण विधेयकों पर चर्चा होना चाहिए।
So you heard what Speaker Om Birla is saying, that when the government is ready, then why is the opposition creating roadblocks? And outside Parliament, this was inside Lok Sabha, and outside Parliament, I showed you the pictures playing out. It was a scenario of a protest versus counter protest. Let's listen to what Pawan Khera said, and then I'll show you some more tweets coming in from Mallikarjun Kharge also. Let's play out the bite of Pawan Khera.
के मन में जो सवाल हैं वो सवाल विपक्ष के माध्यम से सदन में देश गृह मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री से पूछ रहा है, लेकिन ये कन्नी काट रहे हैं, डर के भाग रहे हैं। भगोड़ा गृह मंत्री है ये, भगोड़ा प्रधानमंत्री है।
सर, ये कहा जा रहा है कि वो तो बातचीत करने के लिए तैयार है।
कौन सी बातचीत, किन मुद्दों पर? मुद्दे तो हमने तय किए ना, ये थोड़ी तय करेंगे कि भाई हम इस मुद्दे पर बात करेंगे और चंदा चोरी पर नहीं करेंगे। चंदा चोरी पर भी करनी पड़ेगी। झारखंड में नौजवानों का एक शांतिपूर्ण आंदोलन चल रहा है, उसमें भारतीय जनता युवा मोर्चा के लोगों को घुसा दिया, बसें भर भर के लाए। क्या इस पर चर्चा नहीं होगी? सब पर चर्चा होगी। चंदा चोरी से ये डरते क्यों हैं? प्रधानमंत्री ने खुद इस ट्रस्ट का गठन किया, प्रधानमंत्री के चहेते लोग इस ट्रस्ट में थे। तो इस ट्रस्ट में जब अगर कोई गलत काम होता है, चोरी चकारी होती है, तो जाहिर सी बात है प्रधानमंत्री से सवाल पूछे जाएंगे, प्रधानमंत्री को जवाब देने होंगे, प्रधानमंत्री को करोड़ों राम भक्तों से माफी भी मांगनी होगी।
सर, आपको लगता है कि ये जो आप
You heard what Pawan Khera is saying, that we have already put out our demands, and let's put out the tweet of Mallikarjun Kharge. He's clearly again repeated that what the three demands originally were, and this is what he had said, that we have three clear non-negotiable demands. Amit Shah must answer in Parliament about the brutality inflicted on students and youth. Second, the Modi government must explain why the donations and offerings for the Ram temple went. For all this, Modi ji and Amit Shah must apologize to the country, and this is exactly what they had reiterated in their press conference yesterday when Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi were there. Now, the big questions we are raising. Now, what is the logic behind a protest versus counter protest? That is question number one. Question number two, what happens to the Gen Z anger? Is that sentiment totally dismissed by the Jharkhand government and here by the BJP government at the center? That is also a $1 million question. And if you look at the big picture, if you are dismissing this Gen Z anger, if you are dismissing this student sentiment, what if it spills out outside Jharkhand? Because Jharkhand happens to be an opposition ruling state, so it's very convenient for the center to point fingers at, look, you are pointing fingers at me, but what is happening in Jharkhand? But what if this anger spills over to the BJP ruled states? So is BJP missing the big picture? Is BJP missing the woods for the trees? That's what we are asking. Joining me this evening is Anand Sahai, senior journalist and political commentator. Thank you so much for joining. We have Sunil Prabhu, senior journalist and political commentator, and he's been covering the parliament for decades. Thank you so much, Sunil, for joining. You're coming to the Federal for the first time. It's a pleasure having you on the program, and we hope you keep joining us off and on. Thank you so much, Raj Lakshmi, senior journalist and political commentator. Thank you very much. And let me begin with Sunil Prabhu. Sunil, you know the parliament very, very closely, so I want to understand from you the logic behind this protest versus counter protest, and to the extent that we literally saw an image which IANS had shot, that the NDA MPs were holding placards and asking for Rahul Gandhi's accountability, and all of a sudden Pawan Khera popped in and said, "Where is the missing Amit Shah?"
Absolutely. So this is actually something that's now become a norm, right from the 2014 period, since Narendra Modi government has come to power. When they've had the majority, they've been able to go ahead with steamroll on bills with or without opposition. And it's in that backdrop today that we see no less than this counter, as you said, the protest and the counter protest taking place in a very massive scale. If you look at the last, usually it happens on the last day, towards the last days of the session, where you see ministers and the BJP MPs coming on the streets. This time, of course, I think the reason being, after the NDA meeting, they decided to keep up the offensive to try to counter where they have really lost out in the last few days. What have they lost out? As you saw, once Parliament convened on the 20th, the brutal assault on the students, which has really not only upset the Gen Z, but across the nation, students as well as the families, seeing the decision of the Delhi police to use tear gas, to use, pellets, even though they say there was no firing. But there was definitely certain incidents that had took place, which really rattled the establishment at that kind. And it's in that backdrop that they've been asking right from day one that the Home Minister, and you saw Rahul Gandhi's article too in this context, must come out clean on this entire issue. It has been slow on the uptake for for the government to be able to respond. Finally, they decided, with the prompting coming from no less than the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, the vice president, who asked the government to say that the Home Minister must make a statement. And it's in that backdrop now that they finally agreed to it. But I think it's a little bit too late, because now we are in the last 3-4 days, unless they have something up their sleeves and they want to delay that entire
No, but
process.
Sunil, is the government not realizing that this may backfire at them? Because now with monsoon session coming to an end, rather it might just close. Who knows? Cyanide tomorrow or maybe day after. But is the government not realizing that the students, the anger, the sentiment which we are seeing on the ground, at least the student community and the Gen Zs are seeing through this what is happening, what happened with them in Jantar Mantar, and how is the government trying to deflect the attention by seeking a bailout through these Jharkhand protests?
Well, that's the strategy that they're adopting as of now, to try to change the goalposts, or change the field, and say that it works both ways, not only in Jantar Mantar but even in Jharkhand. And as you saw, Pavan Kara allege that they've been BJP youth workers who have been brought in purposely trying to agitate the situation and everything else. But that being said, Rahul Gandhi himself making it clear yesterday that wherever there is a peaceful protest, there shouldn't be the use of violence. So, whatever has happened in Ranchi, and if it has been unprovoked, it's totally unacceptable. I think that's absolutely clear. But as you rightly pointed out, the government has to be able to be seen to be responding. They've been doing it a little bit too late. They've been found wanting, be it on the Gen Z protest. Yeah, I mean, for people who have known Prime Minister Modi, to see him wilt under pressure to take, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation is the first case. We've had one incident before in 2014 where you saw him change and turn completely turtle on the issue of the land acquisition and the relief and rehabilitation bill. Many people try to put the point of MJ Akbar's Me Too, but that's not really a case as much as doing a complete turnaround where we saw in Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation, or for that matter, the relief and rehabilitation and the land acquisition bill, or the farmers' three bills that were repealed ultimately. So it's in that backdrop, for seeing a man like Prime Minister Modi, they are really not bothered about Parliament. They don't really
Right.
believe too much in the parliamentary democracy, as you can witness when people questioning the Prime Minister's absence as well as the Home Minister's absence. And this has been a consistent pattern right from 2024, when they didn't get the numbers that they were hoping for. And their lookout at this present juncture is to win Punjab. And I think they're focusing on that. The fact that they've got Sukhbir Badal, they're working with the Akalis, as well as
Right.
getting their own house order in Punjab. They believe that by winning election after election, they will be able to answer the people. But that, of course, as Rahul Gandhi and other opposition parties say, this is the beginning of resistance politics. So we'll have to wait and see how things play out in the next few months once
Right.
Parliament, breaks after the for the monsoon session.
Right. Now let me come to Ananda. Ananda, I'm just wanting to understand, like Sunil pointed out clearly few things as to what is really happening. But is the BJP government really missing the big picture? What if these protests spill out of Jharkhand? If they move on to some BJP ruled states, how will they seek a bailout? For now, they have Jharkhand to point fingers that, look, Rahul Gandhi, you are accountable. Why are you not speaking on Jharkhand? But what if this anger spills out on the streets of BJP ruled states? Is the BJP government going to handle this the same way, having a counter protest in parliament?
Nilu, the trouble has started already. You saw in Uttar Pradesh, in Allahabad, Prayagraj, Rahul Gandhi had a huge
Yes.
meeting,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Earlier in Dehradun, former UP, now Uttarakhand, also he had a huge meeting. Then this Gen Z, I don't really like that expression too much, but because Gen Z makes you feel it's only a very narrow focused thing. It's much wider. The young people of India are in turmoil. right? And it is showing up in state after state. It doesn't matter whether the state is run by party A, B, or C. And of course, the BJP also do not forget that before this Gen Z movement and protest that we saw in Jantar Mantar, triggered by the Cockroach Janata Party protest and others and several leftist organizations, including foremost the ISA, right? So all that came together now. But if you look at the history of the past 12 years and even prior, the young people who were protesting then, what were they doing? They were not protesting. They were protesting against the democratic order. They were attacking people who did not belong to their faith. They went around breaking things, and in the name of cultural nationalism. Those were the big crowds that we saw in the past. Today, for the first time in a long while, preceding July 20, when all that troubles broke out, these whatever Chhatra Jago Yatra that Rahul is doing, that is the starting point, and then it suddenly takes on speed. This is on entirely secular issues, education, corruption in governance, employment. The kind of jobless growth we have seen.
Yeah, Anand, sorry to interrupt you. If you can push yourself a little backwards because your forehead is getting cut. Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
the, the,
Yeah,
the, the,
now it's
the,
fine.
the, the issues now for the first time are out of the hands of the Gen Z that were earlier being commandeered in the name of religious and cultural movements.
True.
The RSS had 2 dozen plus, 3 dozen outfits, and the directors and the board members, etc., are all fuddy-duddies like me. But the boys on the roads, they are people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. The Kavaria march is an age-old affair. I've been seeing it from my childhood. When I was pre-child, let's say, I've been seeing it. But today they are an indoctrinated lot. They will see shops and bazaars with names, which they do not like, and they'll go on the rampage. So that is also a mobilization. And they are being showered with flowers by helicopters flying above. Earlier on by IGP UP a few years ago. So that was one kind
Even
of
this
Gen
year,
Z.
There was a visual where the police
I know. They were
were
stamping on the car.
showering
I know.
petals. Yeah,
They are a rowdy party. They're a rowdy party, a rowdy religious congregation. Let's put it like that. So the same youth group was operating on one kind of slogan, but that slogan alone cannot turn India when you come to in a very organized and well mobilized form on these secular things, which affect your life every day. And at Jantar Mantar, you had children whose parents in large numbers had voted with the present dispensation, right? And that's why some people have commented that this is a kind of clash between the WhatsApp generation and the Instagram generation. And maybe so. These are all colorful
so,
expressions that
Anand,
you
to
are
ask you,
using in journalism.
sorry to
Huh.
interrupt you, but to ask you a very pinpointed question, and then I'll go to Rajlakshmi. That you already said that the kind of crowd we saw in Allahabad or the Pragraj, it shows that BJP has missed the big picture. But my question is that now, if beyond Jharkhand, these student protests spill over beyond Jharkhand, what will BJP do? How will they handle it?
It's pan India. It's not Jharkhand or Delhi. It's pan India. And you will find that people who came to Jantar Mantar, they came from as far as Tamil Nadu or Bihar. So it is pan India already. So BJP, their whole scheme of being, their
Right.
scheme of governance, etc., it relies principally on the use of violence, and then later its justification through the use of propaganda tools. That's what we have been seeing. One like the attack on JNU in the year 2020, when these guys covered faces went around smashing doors, windows, teachers' homes, right? And recently, now, how far is the police? How far apart are the police from this kind of lumpen crowd, violence-prone lumpen crowd? When we saw right the day after the protest in Jantar Mantar, or the following day, I may be getting mixed up on the days, when a bunch of policemen in uniform but without their number, without their names, they arrived at the headquarters of the CPIM party looking for Aisha Ghosh, that student leader, the youth leader. And then when it was pointed out that where's your nameplate? Where's your name, whatever tag? Then they ran for cover. They ran out because it runs against the Supreme Court judgment. So this is now, who were they? Were they policemen in police uniform, or God knows, were they mobilized kind of lumpins using force, threatening the use of force? At Jantar Mantar, police officials, junior and senior, had gone without the name tags, which means they had gone there expecting self generated trouble and then to
Right.
blame it on others. They
Right.
had gone there with loaded trucks with stones. So
True.
this was not a normal law enforcement at all. This was a totally different kettle of fish, and it is that which makes it so different
Right.
from the violence between crowds and mobs and police we've seen any time in the past.
Right.
Because this time,
But
the
you can
young
see.
for the first time are,
Yeah.
this is it. The young for the first time not mobilized by BJP and the RSS.
Hmm.
It is they who
That's
are
true.
on the streets on secular demands,
Right. No, that's
not
right.
on
And
pseudo religious demands.
right. Let me come to Rajlakshmi now. Rajlakshmi, coming back to the same question. Bharani, if you're there backstage, we can have those visuals of protest versus counter protest. What is really going to happen? And can BJP really get away by mounting counter protest, by asking questions from the opposition now? Look at these protests where Rahul Gandhi Jawab Do. That is the main slogan, coming out of the NDA protest playing out outside Makadwar. You can see the pictures, how all the MPs, the NDA MPs, saying that Rahul Gandhi Jawab Do, what is happening in Jharkhand. And also, there has been a narrative that the Congress is trying to change the goalposts. So you can see Basuri Swaraj, and she was the one who spoke and said that the Congress party has changed the goalposts. Now look at this, what Sambit Patra has written. Rahul Gandhi, don't run, don't hide. Face the debate, face the fact. Now, what would you see? What would you say to a debate now, or the narrative which is being pushed around now?
Well, it's a strange, kind of an argument, Nilu, because I think it's a BJP that has been shifting, and changing the goalposts. First, they said that the opposition cannot dictate who should who should come and speak in parliament on behalf of the government, and because this was in response to the opposition's in fact concerted demand that that the home minister should come and reply in the context of what happened on July 20th. So okay. So then the second goalpost was this, that it can't be conditional. Okay, that the opposition can't sort of dictate as to as to what the minister is supposed to speak on, or is supposed to sort of reply on. Okay, and then again it shifted that okay, the home minister will come and speak, but there has to be calm, and there has to be peace, and there has to be some kind of an order, and so all kinds of things. So the goalposts have not been changed by the opposition or the Congress, but they have been changed by the BJP. In fact, just to sort of delay sort of presenting the home minister to come and uh, sort of give an explanation for the events that happened on July 20th. So and that the session ends in a day or two. So obviously, if it's not going to happen, in the next 2 days, it's not going to happen in this session at all, unless they call special session to sort of discuss the July 20th events, which I do not think is going to happen. So there might be a special session to pass the women's bill, as well as a
Right.
delimitation bill. I don't think there'll be a special session on this. So
Right.
I do not think that it is the opposition,
No, but the
that
parliament,
is responsible.
if they want, I
Yeah.
think both so you and Sunil can comment. Like in the past, also we've seen few times how the parliament session has been extended for few reasons. So if at all they are accountable to the students, if at all the government is bothered to answer questions about the Gen Z, then they might as well just extend the session and make a statement in the house, discuss the matters, and discuss both the matters, the Ram Temple theft and the student unrest.
Yeah. No,
Well, I
well,
think you're
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
Sunil. Go ahead.
Ha. Okay, Sunil. Yeah, go ahead and then I'll go
well.
back to Lakshmi. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're expecting a little bit too much from the, the BJP and the government in power. They've never believed in answering or getting back to answer to these questions. You don't expect any answers on this. To use Amit Shah's own words, chronology samjho. The fact that today you saw, the entire BJP-led NDA coming out on the streets is clearly this sign that they're getting ready to go back to their constituencies, fight the battle, and try to make connect with, even though Anand doesn't like the word Gen Z, but the younger generation, to really understand the issues. I think the biggest wake-up call when Parliament was coming, was convening this time, everybody thought that the government was invincible. They had the numbers from 240, they had gone to nearly a two-third majority. But who had expected Somnang Wakchuk's, being arrested, the Gen Z protests, lakhs of people coming onto the streets, violence erupting, and as has been pointed out by Anand, and I think I completely agree. This has gone to a pan-India movement. The fact that we saw the Cockroach Janata Party way back in the end of May emerge and become this, get such huge amount of people, might be as a front to the, Chief Justice of India, because he used the word cockroaches. But I think what was really is the anger within the youngsters across them. So it's in that context that we will have to see now how things play out in the next few months. Please don't underestimate Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. They have that entire Gujarat model as they talk about. They will continue to focus on Punjab to win that election. They will work, as Raja Lakshmi says, to get that delimitation bill through, tweak the numbers, try to get the DMK as well as the other parties to make that big difference, and then hopefully proceed from there. So even though many parliamentarians cutting across parliamentary party lines say that if you have to pass that delimitation bill, you need to have bipartisan support. You can't do it the way you did before the Bengal elections, because ultimately this is something that will have to play out, or it will be contested in the Supreme Court. It has far-reaching complications in terms of how India's elections will be run. So it's in that on that
Absolutely.
basis we have to wait, because there is a lack of confidence. What is the biggest grouse? It's not about the 50% increase. It's about who will do that delimitation. Why should it be on the
Right.
2011? Why can't it be on the 2021 census, which is just underway now? And who will decide? Will it be the election commission and a chief justice nominated judge? Those are, and remarking boundaries, because we've seen in the case of Assam and others, there's gerrymandering that takes place, which is not acceptable to various political parties.
I'll go back to Rajlakshmi. She wanted to complete the
Yeah.
point, and then I'll take the concluding remarks from Anand. Yes,
Well,
Rajlakshmi.
yeah, I just have to say that the government still, in fact, continues to be in denial mode. Just in fact, does not accept that there is deep resentment, among the youth in this country. I mean, around 40% of 5 million graduates are not employed, Nilu. Okay, these are figures. Okay, these are real figures. Now if the government chooses to sort of paper over this fact and does this counter offense kind of a thing. Offense is the best form of defense. Okay, let's go on the offensive, and attack the Congress. That's so silly. I mean, at one point, because the Congress has, in
Right.
fact, condemned the police action, as Sunil also,
Right.
in fact, pointed out, right? And there, Neha Bora, okay, of the ISA, which is a student wing of the CPI ML, she went there and addressed the students, and the CPI ML is one of the constituents, in Jharkhand, in the Jharkhand government. So it's really weird that this issue has been sort of picked up at the BJP. But I think their intentions, I think, become clear now, because by in fact going on this counter offensive, they have made it amply clear that we are not going to be answerable to what happened, on July 20th. And you can sort of shout at the skies, you can
Right.
raise all kinds of slogans, but we aren't coming and doing that. And they think that this is going to die, a natural death, and that
Right.
and people are going to forget. But I do not think that people are going to forget what happened, July
Right.
20th. That
Okay,
is
so
going to
you
die.
feel that this sentiment will not die down. It might, maybe in the coming days, it might get amplified because the government has not answered. Government has not expressed any regret as to what happened to the students on 20th of July, when the police crackdown happened. Anand, coming to you now for the concluding remarks, what would you really say? You already said that the BJP has missed the big picture. It has spilled over. It has become a pan-India protest. So what next for BJP? Like what Sunil said, that the BJP MPs have already been told to go back to their constituency, connect with the Gen Z. But would the Gen Z do that?
You think if the protest in Delhi ended on the 20th, in Jharkhand, it'll end today, tomorrow, and in some other states it will start.
Yes.
But you cannot end, hunger, unemployment, exam, you try, you put in money, lakhs and lakhs, your parents put in, then nothing happens. The whole thing goes, awry totally. So these are live issues of the people. And most people in India today are young people, below a certain age. They are not my age, or they're not even your age. They are a lot younger. What are their needs? What are their aspirations? This government, the way it's run governance in the past 12 years, shows it doesn't care. It does not regard itself as being accountable. And after the July 20th, the discussion which took place in Parliament, it was a minister of state, not even a full cabinet minister, Mr. Jitendra Singh, is an affable man. I mean, that's neither here nor there. Of the PMO, it should have been the PM who was there, as well as the Home Minister. Now, neither was there. And the MOS you fielded was not from the Home Office, but the PM office. And he was at sea. The best he could offer was that, oh, the opposition people don't know that it is the magistrate who gives the firing order. And, so there is a childish level of debate. Why was the Commissioner of Police Delhi changed overnight, 2 days before that 20th July? A new man was brought in. The whole thing was played according to a plan. And it is that plan which the Home Minister of India finds himself unable to articulate on the floor of the House, because there you're going on record. Outside you may say whatever. So that is what they don't wish. But the point is, they, as who Sunil was saying, I think, hi Sunil, we're meeting after a long time. As Sunil said, that they just want to carry on winning elections. Now, technically, it is true they have won the elections. Technically, they have won the Bihar election and the Bengal election and the whatever Rajasthan election and the Maharashtra election.
The moral of
But
the story is that technically BJP will continue winning elections, but they will dismiss the sentiment which is growing.
no, but people have now cottoned on that these are technical wins, not the real wins. I did my voted one way, and ultimately more votes
Right.
were counted than people voted. So people have now come to understand everything, and the minute you go to the court, you know which way things are going to go. Exactly like the Chief Justice of
Absolutely.
India, no less, says, I have no time to watch these videos. Sorry, go home. You're cockroaches. And then when he sees the mob fury, then two
No,
or
we've
3 days
already seen
later,
the
he changes
consequence.
his tune.
We are already seeing the symptoms playing out. What happened
So
in
I'm
Nalsa
saying
University?
that these are signs of a very deep crisis within, number one. Number two, signs that there is complete absence of governance. Number three, signs of zero political accountability
All
being
right.
accepted by the people. What I would say is, do not push the young Indian over the edge. If you do that, right now we are talking the language and culture of democracy, right? We hope it stays within those bounds. And the big responsibility for that lies with the Prime Minister of India, with the Home Minister of India, with the mobs mobilized by the BJP and its affiliates to pursue nefarious ends in the name of religion and culture. All this, people have caught on. That's the whole point. That is why the damn thing is blowing up sky high.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. So for now, at least the strategy looks like BJP. At least BJP is assuming that the answer for the Jantar Mantar protest is Jharkhand. So for now, the entire focus is on Jharkhand. Rahul Gandhi jawab do, Hemant Soren jawab do. That is the narrative which is being built. But how is it going to play out in the coming days and in the coming months and the weeks? We'll have to wait and watch. We'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Anand Sahai, Sunil Prabhu. It was wonderful having all of you on the program. Raj Lakshmi, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.